The bell over the door at Clearwater Precision Range gave a dry metallic clang, slicing through the thick air saturated with gun oil, dust, and the distant echo of spent brass. Heads turned some slowly, others reluctantly. Most barely lifted their eyes from the cracked leather scorebooks spread across scratched tables. They all saw her, but few acknowledged her. Not really. Jordan Ray stepped inside with the quiet assurance of someone who wasn't here to make noise. She was dressed plainly worn jeans, a green jacket, boots softened at the edges by years of honest use. Over her shoulder hung a duffel bag, the nylon worn but neatly kept. She walked like someone who knew where she was going, and more importantly, why she was going there. Behind the counter stood a man with a thick gray mustache and a name tag that read Eddie. He barely looked up. Sign-up sheets on the clipboard, he muttered, jerking a thumb in its direction. Jordan didn't blink. She nodded, stepped forward, and scribbled her name in precise block letters, clean, clear, without flourish. She had learned long ago that when people were already searching for a reason to doubt you, the last thing you did was give them one. Her signature didn't announce, it confirmed. She heard it then. The murmurs. New blood. Bet she bounces after her first try. Maybe she's here to watch. Jordan didn't need to guess who said it. A group of men clustered around lane 5 ball caps, Red Wing boots, belly laughs not quite friendly. One of them, a stocky man with a red shirt stretched taut over his stomach, chuckled to himself and said just loud enough, "Eddie, better clear a lane. This one's gonna need the exit pretty soon." Laughter followed. Not vicious, not yet. Just lazy, confident, self-assured sound of people certain the story had already been written. Jordan placed her bag gently on a bench near the wall. She moved methodically. Gloves, ear protection, rifle case. Each motion practiced, smooth. Her father had taught her the value of ritual. Her father, Malcolm Ray, who once told her, "The world will talk. Let it. Just make sure when you speak, it's louder." She slipped on her gloves, opened her rifle case, and removed the old but polished weapon within a matte black Remington 700, stock worn to a dull sheen, scope clean as glass. No flashy attachments. No decals. Just function. Purpose. Around her, the noise grew. The kind of ambient noise men make when they want to remind each other they're not worried. But underneath that there was something else. Attention. They were watching her now. Not admitting it. Not openly. But they were. The loudspeaker crackled overhead. Open competition begins in 10. First round, step up. Jordan wasn't in the first round. She sat back, watched. The competitors lined up, some clearly seasoned, others clumsier. A man with an AR-style rifle snapped the trigger too hard, sending his shots low. A woman in camo flinched every time the weapon discharged. Still they laughed. Slapped backs. A club with rules unspoken. Confidence, not competence, earned respect. Near the vending machines stood a man everyone knew. Top dog. Brett Kinley. 6-time range champion. Perfect score back in 2017. He didn't compete, Inamore observed, judged, laughed softly at newcomers. His eyes flicked toward Jordan, expression unreadable. She met his glance. Flat. Then looked away. Her name crept higher on the list. Round by round, the sign-up sheet shortened. Her hands remained steady, her breathing even. She tuned out the conversations, the comments, the sideways looks. Instagram shooter, someone muttered. Bet her scope cost more than her aim. She remembered Oklahoma where her father stood behind her, never speaking unless it mattered. She remembered the first time she hit a can off a fence post at 70 yards. The boys who stopped laughing when she did it again and again. Her name echoed through the loudspeaker. Jordan Ray. Lane 7. She rose. Boots echoing softly against the linoleum, rifle held with practiced ease. Her lane sat at the far end, partially bathed in golden afternoon light streaming through high windows. Good. Fewer distractions. She unpacked without haste. Adjusted her stand. Sighted in. Cleaned the lens with a breath and a cloth. One man at the nearby lane smirked. His buddy nudged him. Brett watched. Eddie ambled down the line, clipboard in hand. He paused, glanced at her rifle, wrote something, and moved on without a word. Jordan didn't care. She loaded her first round. Click. Pause. The range master lifted his hand. Shooter ready? Jordan raised her thumb. A small motion. Sure. The hand dropped. Crack. The shot ripped through the air clean, sharp, like a line drawn in stone. It hit center. Not near. Not close. Dead. Center. And for the first time, the room got quiet. She reloaded. Next shot. Another bullseye. Then another. Then another. She didn't hurry. She didn't showboat. She breathed. Fired. Breathed again. Behind her, conversation stalled. Chairs creaked. Someone stood. Someone sat too fast. By the end of her first magazine, there were no voices left. Just the sound of Jordan Ray dismantling assumptions one bullet at a time. She stepped back. The range master stared at her target. Walked forward, then back again. Rickety glanced at the monitor, then at the board. He scratched his head. You might want to take a look. Jordan didn't move. She reloaded. This wasn't finished. One more round. One more rhythm. One more breath. Her third shot hit the same ragged hole her last two had made. There wasn't even paper fray left, just a single brutal tear through certainty. The room behind her began to shift. No longer smug. No longer amused. Uneasy now. Curious. The sound of quiet awe. Brett Kinley stepped forward. Arms still crossed. Watching. Jordan kept shooting. By her final round, even Eddie had abandoned his clipboard. The range master stood frozen. Brett stared, the humor gone from his mouth. Jordan lowered her rifle. The score flashed across the digital board above the cork wall. Top score. New record. Jordan Ray. She removed her gloves. Packed her case. Moved without urgency. Brett approached. He stood a moment before speaking. That, he said, voice low, was solid work. Jordan looked him in the eye. Thanks. A few people clapped. Hesitant. Then more. And more. She nodded, polite. Not a smile. Not a smirk. Just acknowledgement. She had already said what she came to say with her hands. Her focus, her fire. The range master walked over, clipboard now an offering. We'd like to put your photo on the Hall of Fame board. If you're okay with that. Jordan glanced at the corkboard. Brett's photo still hung there. A younger man, grinning. Confident. She looked back at the range master. I'm good, she said. He blinked. Nodded. She shouldered her bag and turned. Hey, someone called from the back. That was unreal. She didn't stop. At the door, she turned slightly. If you're going to bet against someone, she said, her voice calm, firm, carrying through the stillness, make sure you're not just looking at the surface. She stepped into the sun. The Florida sky was wide and hot and bright. A breeze carried the scent of cut grass and ocean salt. Her phone buzzed. A text from her father. How'd it go? Jordan smiled. Fine. She paused. Better than fine. She tossed her bag into the passenger seat of her car, sat for a moment behind the wheel, feeling the last of the adrenaline settle. No photo. No plaque. But the memory would linger. She turned the key. The engine rumbled. The wind tugged at her sleeves as she rolled down the windows. She passed a bait shop, a diner, a body shop with rusting fenders and dogs dozing in the heat. Ordinary places. Ordinary people. They'd never know what happened down at Lane 7. That was fine. She glanced at her reflection in the rearview mirror. Steady. Clear. The face of someone who never asked permission to belong. And never would.